1. At 82 years old, Benjamin Carter sat quietly on the porch of his small lakeside cottage in Vermont, watching the sun dip behind the trees. The air was crisp, carrying the scent of pine and distant wood smoke. If he could reach back across the decades and speak to his 50-year-old self, he wouldn't hesitate for a moment. The advice he would offer wasn't written in any book or whispered in any seminar. It was forged from years of mistakes, triumphs, heartbreak, and victories. In those younger years, Benjamin had been a relentless dream chaser, a man who believed productivity equaled purpose. He measured success in late nights at the office and trophies gathering dust on the shelves. Yet sitting here now, wrapped in a warm flannel jacket, he realized how much more there was to a life truly lived. If only he had known the beauty of stillness, the power of quiet reflection, and the immense value of choosing peace over chaos. Benjamin's weathered hands, now holding a steaming mug of coffee, bore the map of a life filled with lessons. Each scar, each wrinkle, a story worth telling. And today, with nothing but the wind as his witness, he was ready to share the wisdom that only time could teach. Learn from those who've lived it. Type 1 to hear life lessons you can't miss. Back when Benjamin was 50, life was a blur of deadlines, meetings, and endless obligations. Living in a bustling suburb of Chicago, he believed that every minute spent resting was a minute wasted. His calendar was packed, his phone never stopped ringing, and his nights were sleepless marathons of overthinking. The idea of slowing down seemed almost laughable to him back then, but one evening, it all came crashing down. After another exhausting 12-hour workday, Benjamin found himself sitting alone in his car, parked outside his dark, empty house. His wife, Amelia, had left a note on the kitchen counter. "We need to talk, but I'm tired of waiting." His heart sank. He realized in that moment that he hadn't just been losing time. He was losing the people who mattered most. Days turned into restless nights. Benjamin's health began to falter. Stress carved deep lines into his face and sapped the color from his life. Friends drifted away. His children, once eager for his attention, had learned to stop asking. It was as if he had built a towering empire, only to discover it stood on crumbling sand. The wake-up call wasn't subtle. A mild heart attack struck him during a conference in New York City. As he lay in the sterile, humming hospital room, staring at the fluorescent lights overhead, he thought about all the moments he had missed. The birthdays, the anniversaries, the Sunday mornings he had traded for spreadsheets and emails. It was during that long, lonely recovery that Benjamin made a decision. He didn't want to be remembered as a man who was always busy. He didn't want his legacy to be late-night meetings and forgotten promises. Sitting in that hospital bed, he realized that the true wealth of life wasn't buried in bank accounts or titles. It was in laughter shared, memories made, and peace found in simple, ordinary days. He decided he would change. Not someday, not when things slowed down, but right then. His journey toward a more meaningful life would begin with small, deliberate steps. Cutting toxic ties, prioritizing his health, investing in relationships, and reclaiming the lost art of being fully present. And though the road ahead would be uncertain, one thing was crystal clear. If Benjamin was going to build the second half of his life, it would be on the solid ground of wisdom, gratitude, and love. Benjamin's transformation wasn't instant. In fact, it was messier than he had imagined. Letting go of old habits felt like tearing down the walls of a house he had spent decades building, but he was determined. About 6 months after his hospital stay, Benjamin took a trip to a small mountain town in Colorado, hoping to reconnect with himself far from the noise of the city. It was supposed to be a short getaway, a week to clear his mind, breathe some fresh air, and return renewed. What he didn't expect was to meet someone who would completely alter the course of his life. On the second morning, as he wandered into a cozy coffee shop tucked between two towering pines, he met Grace, a retired art teacher with silver hair, lively eyes, and a spirit that radiated warmth. She was sketching by the window, her pad filled with scenes of the surrounding mountains. There was a calm about her that Benjamin hadn't seen in years, perhaps ever. Their conversation started over coffee, but stretched into an afternoon of laughter, long walks, and stories about mistakes and miracles. Grace spoke of living slowly, loving fiercely, and forgiving quickly. Lessons Benjamin knew he needed, but hadn't yet mastered. Over the next few days, they continued to meet. Grace challenged Benjamin to do something radical. Leave his phone in his cabin for an entire day and simply be. No work, no emails, no endless scrolling, just living in the present moment. It was harder than he expected. He found himself twitching for his phone, anxious for updates, feeling as though the world might collapse without him. But gradually the silence wrapped around him like a warm blanket. He noticed the crunch of leaves underfoot, the way the morning mist clung to the trees, the laughter of children playing down the hill. Benjamin felt alive again, not because of anything he did, but because of what he allowed himself to experience. That unexpected trip and that unexpected friendship became the catalyst for a deeper transformation. He realized that true connection had nothing to do with notifications or meetings. It was about being fully present, heart open, mind quiet. And for the first time in decades, Benjamin wasn't chasing life. He was living it. Benjamin returned home to Chicago with a suitcase full of souvenirs, but none as valuable as the shift in his heart. Everything felt different now. His sprawling house, once a symbol of success, suddenly seemed hollow and oversized. The constant buzz of the city, the relentless tempo he used to thrive on, now grated against his nerves like static on a radio. He no longer saw achievement as the trophies on his shelf or the digits in his bank account. Instead, he realized that real wealth was measured in laughter shared around a dinner table, in quiet mornings sipping coffee without a schedule looming overhead, in hugs that lingered and conversations that wandered. At work, Benjamin made bold moves. He stepped down from his high-pressure executive position, shocking his colleagues. Many thought he was crazy, walking away from prestige and power. But Benjamin smiled, knowing they couldn't understand. Not yet. He found joy in the simple things: preparing a homemade breakfast, reading novels under a blanket on rainy afternoons, volunteering at a local community garden. He reconnected with his children, now adults with busy lives of their own, inviting them to Sunday dinners filled with storytelling and laughter, not awkward silence and tension. The old Benjamin used to chase moments, desperate to fill his days with milestones and achievements. The new Benjamin created moments, patiently, intentionally, fully aware that each one could be the last. One morning, while sitting on a park bench watching the sunrise, he realized a truth that stunned him with its simplicity. Happiness wasn't a finish line you crossed once you had done enough, been enough, earned enough. It was a choice you made, moment after moment, breath after breath. He didn't need more. He needed less. Less pressure, less comparison, less noise. The peace he had long searched for wasn't hiding in some distant future. It was right here, waiting for him, once he chose to slow down enough to notice. Benjamin's perspective had changed forever, and with it, so had his life. With a new mindset and a lighter heart, Benjamin began to see doors opening where once there were only walls. One crisp autumn afternoon, while volunteering at the community garden, he overheard a group of younger volunteers talking about wanting to start a mentorship program, a bridge between generations where wisdom and energy could meet. Their enthusiasm was contagious, but their ideas were scattered, lacking direction. Without thinking twice, Benjamin spoke up, offering guidance. His decades of leadership experience, once used to fuel corporate growth, were now channeled into nurturing dreams. The young volunteers welcomed him with open arms, eager for his insight, yet treating him with a respect he hadn't felt in years. Before he knew it, Benjamin found himself co-founding Roots and Wings, a mentorship nonprofit that paired retirees with young adults seeking guidance. It became a movement bigger than he ever anticipated. Retirees who once felt discarded found purpose again, and young dreamers who once felt lost found maps to navigate their future. For the first time in decades, Benjamin woke up each morning with a fire in his chest. Not the anxious burn of deadlines, but the steady, powerful warmth of meaning. He wasn't just filling his days, he was fueling lives. Opportunities continued to bloom. He was invited to speak at community events, sharing the very lessons that life had etched into his heart. His message was simple but powerful. Slow down, connect deeply, live fully. Grace, the silver-haired artist he had met in Colorado, flew out to visit and stood proudly in the audience at Benjamin's first keynote speech. Their friendship had blossomed into something tender and rare, a reminder that it's never too late to meet kindred spirits who help you see the beauty you had forgotten. Benjamin often thought about how close he had come to missing all of this, to spending his later years chasing shadows instead of building light. New opportunities didn't come because he fought harder. They came because he finally stopped fighting himself. He let go. He opened up. He said yes to the unexpected, and in doing so, found a life richer and more colorful than he had ever dared to imagine. As months turned into years, Benjamin continued to grow, not outwardly with accolades or applause, but inwardly in the quiet strength that only true transformation can bring. He no longer feared time slipping through his fingers. Instead, he embraced each moment with a reverence he once reserved only for important milestones. Mornings became sacred rituals, slow cups of coffee on his porch, journaling under the rising sun, long walks where the only soundtrack was the crunch of leaves in his own steady breath. The man who had once lived in constant pursuit of the next big thing now found fulfillment in tending to the small, beautiful details of everyday life. He took up painting, inspired by Grace's gentle nudging. And though his landscapes were far from masterpieces, each brushstroke was a declaration. I am here. I am alive. I am creating. Relationships deepened too. His bond with his children became rich with understanding and patience. He was no longer the distracted father trying to squeeze them into a packed schedule. He was fully present, truly listening, offering not just advice but empathy. They in turn began to lean on him in new ways, not as a figure of authority, but as a pillar of wisdom. Within Roots and Wings, Benjamin mentored dozens of young people, watching them step boldly into careers, families, and passions. Each success story lit a fire inside him, a sense of pride far greater than any award or promotion ever had. He became a living testament to a simple, profound truth. Growth doesn't end when youth fades. In fact, real growth often begins once we stop pretending we have all the answers. There were still challenges, of course, moments of doubt, Days when loneliness whispered in the corners, times when old habits threatened to sneak back in. But Benjamin faced them differently now, not with panic, but with patience. He understood that a meaningful life isn't one free of struggle. It's one where struggle refines you rather than defines you. In the twilight of his years, Benjamin Carter stood taller, laughed louder, and loved deeper than he ever had before. And though the seasons continued to change, within him there bloomed an eternal spring, a season of gratitude, resilience, and boundless hope. On his 82nd birthday, surrounded by family, friends, and even a few of his mentees, Benjamin Carter sat quietly for a moment, watching the room come alive with laughter, music, and stories. The flicker of candlelight danced across faces he loved, each one a chapter in the beautiful story he had spent the last 3 decades rewriting. He realized that the greatest gift he had given himself wasn't wealth, titles, or even accolades. It was the freedom to live authentically, unapologetically, and joyfully on his own terms. Looking around, he saw proof that a single life, when lived with intention, could ripple out in ways unimaginable. The young men and women he had mentored spoke of dreams achieved and obstacles conquered. His children and grandchildren spoke of memories built from slow mornings, fishing trips, and heartfelt talks around the dinner table, not rushed moments squeezed between obligations. Benjamin's heart swelled with a gratitude so large it nearly brought him to tears. The fear he once had of time slipping away, of becoming irrelevant, had been replaced with a quiet confidence. He understood now. The measure of a life well lived wasn't how busy he had been, but how deeply he had loved, connected, and grown. Toward the end of the night, his daughter Emily handed him a small leather-bound journal. Inside, friends and family had written messages, memories, and lessons they had learned from him. Some thanked him for teaching them patience, others for showing them how to find peace. A few simply thanked him for seeing them when they felt invisible. As Benjamin flipped through the pages, he realized the truth he wished every 50-year-old could hear. It's never too late, not to change, not to grow, not to become exactly who you were always meant to be. The mistakes of the past didn't define him. The missed opportunities didn't haunt him. Instead, they served as stepping stones toward a richer, more meaningful existence. That night, as the stars stretched endlessly overhead, Benjamin made a silent promise. For however many days remained, he would continue to live with open hands, an open heart, and an unshakable belief that even in life's final chapters, there was still more beauty to be written. Because the best stories, he realized, don't end, they echo. Benjamin Carter's journey is a living testament that it's never too late to change the trajectory of your life. True happiness doesn't lie in the frantic race for achievements or possessions. It lives in the quiet moments of connection, self-discovery, and forgiveness. Life isn't about perfect timing. It's about courageous choices made at imperfect moments. The most profound transformation happens not when we accumulate more, but when we strip away what no longer serves us. The beauty of a life well lived isn't found in the applause of the crowd, but in the silent peace of a heart that knows it loved deeply, forgave freely, and lived bravely. Your story isn't written in stone. Every sunrise is a fresh page. Every choice is a new paragraph. No matter how much time has passed, no matter the mistakes behind you, you can still write a beautiful, meaningful ending. And sometimes the most extraordinary journeys begin with the simplest act, slowing down, listening to your heart, and daring to believe that the best is still ahead. No matter where you are in life, you can start today. Pause the rush, look around, reconnect with the people you love. Let go of the resentment you've been carrying. Forgive yourself for the missteps you made along the way. Find joy in the small rituals, a shared meal, a handwritten note, a walk under the stars. Invest in relationships, in your health, and in learning, not to prove yourself, but to nurture your soul. Choose growth over comfort. Choose connection over noise. Above all, choose to believe that it's never too late to build a life that feels true to you. Your best days aren't behind you. They are still waiting just around the corner. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like and share with your friends. Your support keeps these stories alive. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a new episode. And if today's story touched your heart, leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Take care, stay well, and see you in the next story.